Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I'm Brett Chapin, and that is guest co-host and guest Rachel Delmar.
Hello.
If you have any questions for our very talented guest today, James Roday of Red Dog Squadron, give us a call at 1-800-336-2225. That's 1-800-336-2225. And James and Danny, are you guys both back?
I'm here. I'm still shaking off. I'm shaking off the cobwebs. Was that a Larry Minetti testimonial that we got during the break?
Well, you know, he played Rick on Magnum PI.
Oh, I know.
Yes, it was. He has a show on CRN.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, he's doing good. I like listening to his show.
Good to know he's still working.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Robert Conrad has a show on here too. He's awesome. He's a friend of the show. But, you know, getting back to James Roday. James Roday, by the way, plays Sean Spencer on Psych, a fantastic show. James, Danny had a question for you. Can you repeat that real quick, Danny, and answer it, James?
Yes, I was asking about the location because it was very unusual for a play store, I believe.
Yes, also, it's an antique store in Culver City here in Los Angeles, and like I said, we were definitely interested in doing something in a non-traditional space. Non-traditional meaning any place but a theater, with a light grid. And it's a one-man show, and there's a sort of a conspiratorial element to it of like hey, come down into my basement and let me tell you this story that I don't want anyone else to hear. So initially we were like, well, maybe we should do it in a basement or a bunker or like a storm shelter. And everybody kind of got excited about that idea. And then we were like, we're in Los Angeles. People don't have those things. It's a storm shelter. We put out feelers for shelters and silos, and not a lot came back. But there's also an element to this show that's very sort of archival, and a man sort of looking back at his past and sort of weeding through the things that have sort of brought him to where he is in terms of being a husband and a father and an artist. And it kind of coincides with the story of another man during the Cold War who kind of turned his back on his family and ended up moving to Russia, becoming an expatriate. And so I thought, well, maybe it would work at an antique store because you're surrounded by remnants of the past and of other people's past and of your own past if we brought in some of our own stuff. And, it was a little bit of a roll of dice that we kind of felt like in theory could work. And then we got in there, and it's just such an incredible space that it almost kind of feels like, it was part of the deal from the beginning. It almost sort of feels like the space was an inspiration or something. That's how well it ended up working out. So we're pumped about this, and Big Daddies, I think they might discover that there's extra business to be had by renting out their space to theater companies, because it really is remarkable and up to this point sort of untapped.
An antique store, an antique store is where you have the shows. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's one of these cool antique stores. It's part of this sort of movement right now that's kind of happening in LA, where you refurbish things and then they end up looking modern again, and they're all over. What's the Buttercup place down in Culver City? It's that sort of thing. So it's big, wide, open, lofty type space that they've done a really cool job with, and then it's just old stuff everywhere.
Very nice. Well, and your show there is playing for the next 3 Mondays, is that right?
Next 3 Mondays. It's kind of a enhanced sort of workshop production that's kind of a limited engagement. So unfortunately, there's not a ton of opportunities to go see it, but it is happening, and it is at Big Daddy's, and that is down in Culver City. And yeah, anybody who's doesn't know Ethan Sandler, he is a masterful craftsman and writer and actor who's got such an unbelievable handle on the format of the solo performer of the one-man show that it's kind of just all you can do is kind of sit there and be in awe of what he does. He's been doing it since the first time I saw him was in the late 90s back in New York, and
Can't wait to see it.
he's only gotten better.
Absolutely. Check them out, guys. RedDogSquadron.com. Their show right now is playing for the next 4 Mondays. Thanks so much for calling, Danny, and thanks so much for talking to us, James. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure. Go Delmar. Make sure you fit in some stuff about Seattle. Talk to you soon.
All right. See you Monday.
Look your best the natural way with Capri MD products with only premium